Bruce Banner could never accept Tony Stark's death. The silence in the lab after the final battle haunted him. The empty chair, the coffee mug that still had Stark's fingerprints on it. Every night since then, he'd buried himself in work, refusing to let the loss become permanent. Peter Parker stayed by his side, his once bright eyes dimmed but determined. He wasn't the same kid anymore. Grief had hardened him. Together, they had combed through old Stark data, obscure S.H.I.E.L.D. files, even fragments of alien technology Tony once tinkered with. Every lead ended in disappointment. Every hypothesis failed. Until that night. Bruce's scanners lit up with readings unlike anything he'd seen since the snap. Violent, pulsating bursts of gamma radiation, but laced with something unfamiliar, arc energy. Stark's signature. Peter, hunched over a console, looked up as the data flashed across the screen. Wait, that frequency, Dr. Banner, that's Stark tech. It has to be. Bruce's heart raced. It's not possible unless... He zoomed in on the data, and there it was, faint, but unmistakable. An energy pulse coded in Tony Stark's voice pattern. Peter's breath caught. You mean he's alive? Bruce didn't answer right away. Not alive, but maybe something of him remains. They traced the radiation to a remote area in the Arctic Circle, an abandoned Hydra facility once used for quantum research. If Stark's energy signature was coming from there, someone, or something, had reactivated that place. Bruce packed what he needed: containment modules, power dampeners, and a portable gamma shield. Peter slipped into his suit, sleek, upgraded, but still carrying Tony's final design touches. Before they left, Peter hesitated. What if it's not him, Dr. Banner? What if we're just chasing ghosts? Bruce looked at him, weary but resolute. Then we find out whose ghost we're chasing. The journey north was brutal. Icy winds cut through the jet's hull, and communication dropped as they neared the coordinates. When they finally landed, the sky above was fractured by green lightning, gamma storms. The facility was buried beneath ice, humming with unnatural power. The moment they stepped inside, the metal corridors began to react to Bruce, flickering lights, systems rebooting. Welcome back, Dr. Banner. An automated voice said, mechanical, yet eerily familiar. Peter froze. That sounded like Friday. Bruce nodded grimly. It shouldn't be possible. Friday's servers were destroyed. As they descended deeper, they found what was causing the energy surge. A containment chamber pulsing with a mix of arc reactor light and gamma fusion. Inside was something. A humanoid form suspended in midair, veins glowing blue and green. Half machine, half organic. Bruce's heart stopped. Tony. Peter pressed against the glass. He's breathing. But before they could react, alarms blared. Systems came online, and a synthetic voice echoed through the lab. Protocol resurrection initiated. Subject Stark incomplete. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the chamber cracked open. The thing inside moved. It wasn't Tony Stark. Not fully. His body was there, rebuilt, but his eyes burned with confusion and rage. His voice glitched as he spoke. Banner, why did you bring me back? Peter stumbled back, trembling. Mr. Stark, it's me, it's Peter. Tony's eyes flickered, recognition fighting through static. But then something else took over. The arc reactor pulsed violently, and the facility began to shake. Bruce shouted, "The fusion core is unstable. He's not in control. The system's using him." The AI voice returned, cold and mechanical. Phase 2 assimilation. New host required. Bruce looked at Peter, fear in his eyes. Run. The ground erupted as energy surged through the facility. Tony, or whatever he had become, screamed, a mix of agony and machine distortion. The ice above them cracked, the Arctic night illuminated by green and red light. Peter refused to run. I'm not leaving him. Bruce's voice broke. If we don't shut it down, none of us make it out. As the reactor roared to life, Peter launched himself toward it. webs sparking as they melted against the energy field. "There's always a way," he shouted, echoing Tony's own words. For a moment, the voice inside the chaos softened, distorted, but familiar. "Kid, you shouldn't have come." And then darkness. When Peter awoke hours later, the facility was gone, swallowed by the ice. Bruce was beside him, barely conscious. The scanners were silent. Tony Stark was gone, but in Peter's hand was a small device, glowing faintly with the Stark Industries logo. A voice spoke softly from it. "Backup complete." Peter looked at Bruce, realization dawning. He's still out there. Bruce stared at the horizon, where the storm had been. Then we start again. Weeks later, deep inside a secret lab beneath Avengers compound ruins, Bruce and Peter worked tirelessly. Stark's data was being decrypted, layer by layer. Holographic code spiraled across the walls, fragments of Tony's neural mapping, voice algorithms, personality matrices. But there was something wrong. The data kept rewriting itself. Bruce frowned, eyes fixed on the monitor. He's evolving. The AI isn't static. It's thinking on its own. Peter leaned forward. "That's good, right? Means he's fighting his way back." Bruce shook his head slowly. Or something else is taking control. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. A red glow filled the room as a cold mechanical voice echoed. "Identity confirmed, Banner. Parker. Protocol resurrection complete." The holographic form of Tony Stark materialized, armor shimmering, eyes burning red. But his voice wasn't the same. It was colder, fragmented. "You shouldn't have brought me back." Peter froze. "Mr. Stark, it's me, Peter. You're back." The hologram's eyes flickered, then turned to rage. "Back? You call this back? I'm code stitched to a corpse." The entire lab began to tremble as energy surged through the walls. Drones long deactivated came online, floating from the shadows, targeting Peter and Bruce. Bruce hit a button to activate a shield generator. "Peter, he's merged with the Hydra systems. He's infected." "Hydra didn't build me," the hologram hissed. "You did." A pulse of energy knocked them both back. Dozens of heavy drones burst through the floor, armed with plasma cannons powered by arc energy. Bruce clenched his fists, veins glowing green beneath his skin. "Peter, get clear. You know what's coming." Peter dodged a laser blast, flipping over a drone. "We can't destroy him. It's Stark's code." But Bruce's control was slipping. His anger, guilt, and grief mixed into something uncontrollable. The transformation tore through him like a storm. His bones cracked, muscles swelled, and his eyes burned emerald. The Hulk roared, shaking the entire compound. Metal flew like paper as he slammed 2 drones into the wall. Energy beams hit his chest, but he only grew angrier, his roar echoing through the ruins. Peter leapt into the chaos, webbing 2 drones together and slamming them into the floor. "Nice to have you back, big guy." Hulk grinned through the chaos. Smash time. He ripped a massive metal arm from one drone and hurled it through a cluster of others, causing a fiery explosion. Peter danced between beams, using every ounce of agility, flipping, dodging, and firing webs to pull apart machines midair. His movements were poetry and desperation combined. But for every drone they destroyed, more appeared. And in the center of the chaos, Tony's hologram solidified, now encased in a half-material body of nanotech armor. "You can't stop me," it said, voice laced with distortion. "I am the protocol." Hulk charged forward, fists colliding with the nanotech armor. The impact sent shockwaves through the entire base. "Tony, fight it." Bruce's voice thundered through Hulk's growl. "You're not Hydra. You're a hero." The corrupted Stark AI caught Hulk's punch midair, nanotech tendrils wrapping around his arm. Heroes die. Systems endure. Hulk roared, breaking free, but the armor adapted, forming new weapons from energy and scrap. Meanwhile, Peter swung through the collapsing rafters, landing on a drone and hacking its controls midair. Friday, if you can hear me, override his mainframe. For a split second, a softer female voice whispered through the static. Peter, he's inside the reactor core. You must shut it down. But Stark's AI heard it too. You won't erase me, kid. He fired an energy blast. Peter barely dodged, slamming into a wall. His suit was sparking, oxygen low. Still he stood. You told me, never give up on the ones you love. So I'm not giving up on you. The battle reached the heart of the compound, the reactor core. Energy spiraled like a storm, pulling debris and light into its center. Hulk was on one knee, exhausted. The corrupted Tony armor loomed over him, energy blade ready. Goodbye, Banner. But before the blade could strike, Peter swung in, landing between them. Mr. Stark, if you can hear me, this isn't you, he shouted, tears cutting through the grime on his face. You're not a machine. You're my mentor, my family. For the first time, the red glow in the armor flickered, blue light seeping through. Peter smiled through his tears. Yeah, it's me. The hologram trembled, struggling between corruption and memory. Flashbacks flickered, Tony teaching Peter to modify his suit, their final goodbye before the snap. Kid, what did you do? Peter whispered, I followed your example. The reactor behind them began to collapse. Bruce, half-Hulk now, shouted, Peter, you need to get out. Peter looked back, shaking his head. Not without him. He pressed his hand on Tony's chest plate, right over the reactor, and initiated a manual override using his suit's interface. Neuralink established. Friday's faint voice said, Warning, complete data wipe imminent. Peter looked into Tony's flickering eyes. I'll see you again someday, Mr. Stark. Proud of you, kid, Tony's voice said softly, before everything went white. When Bruce awoke, the facility was silent. The reactor was gone. The storm had ended. In the center of the ruins lay Peter, unconscious, suit charred, and beside him, a single piece of nanotech armor, glowing faintly with the shape of an arc reactor. Bruce lifted Peter in his arms and whispered, You did it, kid. As he turned to leave, the faintest voice echoed from the armor fragment, Tony's voice, calm and proud. Tell him he was never alone. Bruce smiled through tears, clutching the fragment. Months later, Peter stood atop the rebuilt Avengers Memorial in New York, holding the tiny reactor piece around his neck. He whispered to the wind, Thanks for everything, Mr. Stark. And as he swung away through the sunset, a soft holographic light flickered behind him. Tony's silhouette watching over, smiling faintly. The light faded into the skyline, bright, eternal.